Okay, hi. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Sula from the Chicago Reader. In case you're wondering, when I used to review restaurants, I used to dress up like Justin Kaufman, Axios reporter, just to see if he was treated like everybody else. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Nice to see you in person. You just want to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about what you do first. Okay.
How's this one? Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Lynn. So I'm a registered dietitian by training and lead the nutrition team at Kraft Heinz. Kraft Heinz is one of the largest food and beverage companies with over 200 beloved brands with the purpose of making life delicious. So I'm so pleased to be here today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dondeena Bradley. I lead what we call a well-being center of expertise. I'm a part of a lovely Mars family of brands. Some of them you may know, from treats to snacks to foods to pet care and to one of the largest veterinarian care ecosystems. I would like to say part of my role is about readiness. So looking at the future, really living in that 2030, 2035, how do we start to anticipate and build the infrastructure and the types of things that we're talking about here today, new models, new strategic initiatives, different kinds of partnerships. Because as we've heard, this is really quite complex. One company can't do it. How do we build the right ecosystems to do that? And my role is to start to build those bridges.
Hi, okay, yeah, it's on. Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Abunaw. I am the founder, owner, and operator of 40 Acres Fresh Market. 40 Acres is a Chicago grocer that focuses on increasing access to affordable, fresh food in underserved communities. We operate on the west side of Chicago because it is the best side of Chicago. And yes. And I'm on the very end of the supply chain before the food actually gets in your cart, out the door, and on your tables. So I like to talk about the retail built environment for which neighborhoods get food.
Hi, y'all. I'm Dr. Tanya Rodriguez. I am the cultural anthropologist for Hormel. And no, it has nothing to do with dinosaurs or mummies, I promise you. I'm on the brand fuel team, and part of what I do is gather cultural intelligence to keep my pulse on the consumer and our customers. And so I do fun stuff like go into people's homes, cook with them, shop with them. I've lived on college campuses, and really I'm paid to be a diviner of the food future, but I'm also paid to be an advocate, and not that I don't have that as my own personal passion, for the emerging consumer that's always been around, by the way. And so my job at Hormel is to cause trouble.
Okay, everybody, chime in as you see fit. Let's have a discussion. But I wanted to start with a question Tanya had earlier on, and I feel like Liz probably has an interesting perspective on this one too, because I feel like both of you are probably on the ground a lot, connecting with real people about their real food needs, preferences, things like that. So, Tanya, you said there's often a gap between what consumers say they want in healthier food products versus what they actually do with food. Why does this exist, and what does that mean?
How many of us say that we're going to start exercising on Monday, right? There's aspiration and there's reality, right? There's contemporary things, contemporary pressures. And so people tell me, I want better food, I want higher quality food, and they see food manufacturers and retailers as very important, as gatekeepers. So, hey, are the farmers making great food? Are they growing great food? Are they taking care of the animals? Are the food manufacturers doing the right processes? And then is the retailer also helping me identify what foods are good for me? So that's what people say, and they tell us we want less salt and less sugar. And then I go into their house, and guess what they're doing? Putting salt and sugar in stuff. That's what they're doing, and it's like, why is that? And people are telling me, it's habit, right? We talked about tradition in the last panel. It's hard to break that tradition. You're getting a lot of different types of health information or disinformation. It's hard to sort through all of that as well. And as one of our panelists said before, people are they have been colonized in terms of their foodways and their ancestors and the things and the foods that were important to them. And so they don't have that ritual knowledge available as well. So that's why I think you see a big gap between what people say and what people do. It's complex, and health is not a logical process. It is highly emotional. And I think that's the problem when we're making all these great plans and they don't come to fruition necessarily.
So 100% agree. We've all heard the saying that we are creatures of habit. And so what we often hear in many communities is, we need a grocery store, or when a grocery store opens and then closes several years later, it's like, well, what happened? Well, it couldn't stay in business if it wasn't getting the patronage. So it's as simple as that. It's revenue minus expenses, and the revenue has to be more than expenses. And if you're not bringing in enough revenue, you can't stay open. It's really simple. It's the story of the Whole Foods in Inglewood. Now, that could be issues of market fit not being there, but ultimately, what people said they wanted, when they got it, they did not utilize it. But that's also because people have been trained for decades to shop outside of their communities for the goods and services they need, because there's a perception that we don't have anything good in our community, so I have to leave the community. Or it can take years for even something like a farmer's market to get enough traction to attract farmers to actually even want to come to sell, and shoppers to actually want to go and shop at them. It is not simply an issue of a matter of if you build it, they will come. And what often gets happened is that when efforts to bring better food into a community don't succeed, the community is blamed for why it doesn't succeed. You hear it all the time, oh, y'all people steal too much and that's why this store had to close. That's fucking bullshit. I'm gonna put that out there right now. Because I can tell you this, is that if you're a profitable business, it takes a damn huge amount of theft in order for somebody to make you unprofitable. It can make a bad situation worse, but you wasn't profitable even if nobody stole a damn thing. So let's not even try to play that narrative. It's like, oh, you guys say you want healthy food, but all y'all want to eat is like hot Cheetos and Sprite. Like, that blame gets placed on the community without asking the question of how did we get to where we are, what habits are ingrained, what daily movements are ingrained in people. And it takes a lot to shift that at the individual level, like you just said, like I'm gonna work out tonight, I'm really not. How do you get that? How do you make a whole entire community shift and move? And we're trying to figure those things out, but it's not a simple answer of, well, they must not want it if they're not using it immediately.
Liz, I want to come back to that, specifically with regard to your upcoming brick and mortar. But first I want to ask Dondeena and Lynn if any of this resonates in the work that you do.
Sure. I mean, think about the challenges that we're facing today, and think about the next 5, 10 years as we kind of the predictions around deforestation and all the elements that we've got to choose and make choices relative to save the people and save the planet at the same time. So my heart's kind of taking a lot of these stories in today, and it's kind of reminding me of a couple of things. One, when you think about the type of, let me just switch back. When you think about oh, that's the one that doesn't work. No worries. When you think about just the theme here of empowering people to make choices, and when you look at empower people side and the behavioral science that goes on in that, and we're in kind of one of the most, what I would say, stressful eras that we've ever been in as society, and mental health is on the rise. All the things that we've talked about today increase uncertainty in people's lives, and we're all kind of trying to figure it out on a daily basis of how we kind of address some of these things. And then on the healthy choices side, when you start to think about the better choice or the only choice, or moving to the natural choice or to the whole food choice, these spectrums, I think, need to be addressed systemically, and how do we break those down and be planful about them? And I think what I really appreciate about the kind of presence today of this theme with the White House and the panel is companies are showing up around front of pack label. We don't advertise to kids 13 and younger. We're all over reducing salt and sugar. We don't have a product in our portfolio that exceeds 250 calories, and half of our portfolio is at 200 calories. And so what we're really trying to do is understand how to think about this whole value chain and figure out systemically how we can kind of address some of these challenges. And my worry right now is when we can't figure out what's going on at the local level and all the challenges that we want, and you start to think about global food companies and the systemic kind of change that we want to make, but we have to look at it at a global level. And sometimes in different national strategies, we can't even agree on what's healthy, can't even agree on certain elements of that. I think there's a whole opportunity for what's happening in kind of breaking all that down so that we have specs, so that we understand what we can do, how we plug in, how what we do doesn't affect the dashboard of what you do. And that's where I think my hope is in all this as we come together in more of a strategic alliance. I've never seen boots on the ground, more funds being talked about in terms of food for good, health for good, and I'm just excited to see that kind of movement. But ideally, we need the blueprint so that we can really start to show the progress and how we want to move forward.
At Kraft Heinz, I'll just showcase a few examples of how we're making a healthier choice and easier choice. We have many commitments around reducing the sodium and sugar in our products, and one example that was recently launched was a sugar-reduced Capri Sun. So taking a hero iconic brand and reducing sugar by 40% using monk fruit extract. And we heard earlier in the opening remarks about a focus on children's nutrition and schools. And recently, Kraft Heinz has developed 2 SKUs that are compliant with the National School Lunch Program. So these Lunchables are not only reduced in sodium and saturated fat, but they also contain whole food groups such as whole grains and more protein. On the retail side, I don't know if you've heard the news, but yesterday we announced Lunchables for the first time is going to be in the produce aisle. So with a regional test, testing fresh fruits, so we have grapes, we have clementines, we have pineapples and apples being tested with Lunchables in the southern part of the U.S. So, with the change of a lot of our iconic brands and products, really having a large impact to make the better choice and ultimately a choice.
Sorry, Liz, let's come back to you real quick. I'm not sure what the status is with your brick and mortar, but you do talk a lot about the need for infrastructure. What do you need in terms of infrastructure once you open your doors?
So, first, what I need in order to open my doors is a construction permit. So if anybody here is in the building department of the city of Chicago, get me my damn permit. It's the first thing I need. Yeah, so the way I look at it, currently 40 Acres Fresh Market operates as a mobile produce vendor. It's the easiest license to get when you want to do food in the city. And so we sell with delivery service throughout the city of Chicago, as well as at the Austin Town Hall City Market every Thursday, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at 5610 West Lake Street. You should really hit it up. It's a time. Anywho, so that's all well and good, but you don't change the food ecosystem of a neighborhood without permanence. And so my feeling is that if McDonald's can be there every day, if Popeyes can be there every day, then I need infrastructure that is there every day. I have said it before, and I have said it again, a grocery store is more than just a retail transaction. It is public health infrastructure. When we look at the social determinants of health, it is not simply what happens in the doctor's office. It is the food environment, it is jobs, it is housing, it is neighborhood-built environment. And healthy food commerce must be part of our community's infrastructure. And so what you need to keep it part of the community's infrastructure is all of those things I just said around it. You need housing because you need rooftops for people to shop. You need walkable streets. You need We need a parking lot. We have a parking lot. You need people that have the skill set to be employed there. So you have to have a really good education system around you. You have to have people who are healthy to work. So you have to have healthcare available in the community, parks, green space, and you need other retail. Retail attracts retail. You ever been on, what's that street, on Halstead, just north of North Avenue, and it's like restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, and you're like, wow, they're all clustered together because like commerce begets more commerce. You don't want to be out there alone on an island. And so what's going on right now on the west side in particular is the development of the Soul City corridor along Chicago Avenue, where you have multiple different developers trying to develop an African American identified business corridor on the west side of Chicago. And when we open, we'll probably be like the third or fourth business on this corridor, but that's not enough. You need 20, 30, you need more, but hopefully with grocery opening, grocery is an anchor that draws in more business, but also we have to do our part. Like, it is not, like I said, it's not if I build it, y'all need to come, and if you don't, there's something pathologically wrong with you. As a business owner, I have to make sure I'm responsive to the needs of my consumers. I have to make sure that I'm marketing. I have to make sure that I'm running my business effectively from an operational standpoint. There is a lot that businesses need to do in order to bring you in the door. I am not entitled to anybody's business. I have to earn that. And so it's my job as a business owner to figure that out. And if I can't, that's my bad, not yours.
I'm reminded a little bit about what Chef Jessica said in the last panel about what are all these companies going to do for us. It's what are we going to do? And I'm wondering, is there anything that Kraft, Heinz, Hormel, or Mars can do for you?
Let me think about it and get back to, actually, right. No, I'm gonna, actually, yes, there is. So, we talk about healthy food environments, right? And it is not simply the environment in which we live. We exist in multiple environments throughout our day. We live one place, we often work someplace else. We're in a large office space right now. One of the things that we often encourage businesses to do is, if you are not already, buy fresh produce and put it in your break room. The places where people want to grab food, options is what we're talking about. Is those healthy options should be there. You ever been somewhere and the only thing is the vending machine with candy? And you'd eat an apple if it was there, but it's not there. And so 40 Acres services several local businesses with like a large bag of produce every single week, and that's what their staff eats off of. We're good at it, we do it better than anybody else, we do it affordably. So access is not simply about, oh, look at the poor people over there and they don't have food in their neighborhood. Like, access means something to all of us, because how do I put this? If the people that need it most have access, that means we all have access. And at some point, we've all been like, damn, I really wish there was something healthier around. And so think of those environments where you can infuse more and more opportunities for people to make healthier choices throughout their day.
I'd like to second that if I can, just to say in terms of a business, it has to be healthy in terms of nutritionally for the people in the business to function, but it has to also be healthy in terms of the spirit and the culture of the business. And part of being, one way I think we can contribute to a local community level as a big company is by educating our staff. And so we offer 2-year college to all of our employee children. We also pay back tuition for our employees. So that's really important, in terms of educating them, but also who you bring in as an employee. So that diversity of voice on your marketing teams. Who are your chefs and what are they using for the different products that you make, to make sure that at the high level, at the C-suite, those voices are being heard. Hiring people like myself, that is someone who grew up with a single mom and grew up on SNAP, hiring people with that lived experience. That's super important in changing the fabric of the C-suites, and to be able to know that those ideas are at the very top. They're not something that is filtering down or filtering from the bottom, and making sure that we have those chefs and everybody to reinforce and be interlocutors to the community she's talking about, so that it's not us and them, but that we're really looking to the people and asking, what can we do and how can we do it? And how do our products make sense to you or don't? And what do we need to change for them to do? Because I agree, we don't just deserve your business. We need to work for it. And if we don't have the right people there in staff, we're not healthy enough to earn your business.
I see we are rapidly running out of time, and there are a bunch more things I wanted to ask. But Dondeena, you said something earlier, that we have a responsible marketing program that reflects our principles, even though it puts us at a competitive disadvantage. We need more pull from customers and retailers who have become the regulator. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, when you think about, we put caps, calorie caps and sugar caps on our products, and if we're, to your point about the healthier choice, if we're out there in our competition or the category isn't following suit, then we're losing value. We'll just go to the other choice. So that's one example. When you think about our chewing gum business and Chew to Be Well and all the investment that we've done in oral hygiene and thinking differently about the behaviors throughout the day, that's something I'm really proud of as we start to think about Orbit and Extra, as we know people eat those or chew those kinds of products because it's something that offers focus or calm or distraction to some of the things that we're talking about. So certainly in that element. And then with Kind, the Kind bar is leading the way in talking about being the second choice. They've done a lot of push on the fruits and vegetables and how we consume that. So I would just say, as we get into the built environment and we think about meeting every one of you where you are as you move throughout the day and make your food choice, how do we level set in a way so that there is that blueprint so all can bring kind of their best work and the interconnectivity that we need to maintain the kind of values that we're hearing today.
Lynn, in the last couple seconds we have left, I wanted to get a little bit deeper into this, but just quickly, how does the low salt, low sugar Heinz Ketchup perform compared to the older stuff?
So
Sales-wise.
Yeah, the ketchup is one of our iconic brands, and we have different sublines. We have our core ketchup, we have Simply Ketchup, we have a no added sugar, and also a no added salt version. It's interesting because when we were talking about marketing, we recently launched a campaign that's targeted more towards millennials and making campaigns talking about the no added sugar ketchup a better choice, right? So, I think it's about talking about some of these options, putting some marketing and advertising behind it, and really coming down to the consumer has a choice of all these options. And I'll just say in the last few seconds, in terms of the development of, some of these better for you, it does take time, right? So it takes time to develop, to validate, to make sure everything is, just delicious and tastes and resonates with our consumers. So just there's a lot of considerations in terms of when we're thinking about even reformulation or even innovating around products.
Well, we are down to the last few seconds. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Great talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to reiterate what Liz said about stop blaming communities, and please get her building permit now, if anyone in this room has any power whatsoever. Thank you, everyone. Round of applause.